2025 Street Glide Ultra comes with the new lower fairings on the front. You can also order these and put them on other models as well. But we are going to show you CruzArmor kit. We're going to install the whole kit for you so you can do this at home. Typically, I actually like installing this on the bike, a little bit on the top especially for stretching. But for your entertainment, we're going to do it on the tabletop today. And these lower pieces actually work well on the tabletop. They're very flat. This top one you'll see has a little stretch around here, and that's why I was saying you might want to do it on the bike. But go ahead and watch the video. Here's the kit. We're going to get into that. First things first, we need to get our slip solution made. So this is just straight water, 32 ounce. I like hot water. Hot tap water here is clean enough depending where you're at. Obviously, if you got really bad tap water, you may want to get some water from the store. And then Johnson's baby shampoo. We're going to put about 8 drops. Just, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And all I'm doing is just kind of squeezing, letting off, dripping that in there. We're going to see if it's too slippery. You can add water, obviously. If it's not enough, we can add a little more soap. And you typically want to see, where you have some suds, but you don't want a big handful of baby bath soap. So that's ready to go. The other mix is the alcohol mix. We use the 70% isopropyl alcohol, not the 90 or 91. And then we use 25% isopropyl alcohol and the rest 75% water. Again, use clean water. Don't use dirty, nasty water if it's hard water coming out of your sink. So I have already cleaned this with alcohol. Just made sure the alcohol mix to make sure that all the wax, grease is cleaned off of there. So now we're going to go ahead and just make sure everything's good and soaked up. We're going to start with this lower little piece, simple piece. This is the right side that we're going to start with. So that's your right side brake side on your bike. And so in the kit, you're going to have instructions, has the mixing instructions, and you'll have your left and right side. So we're going to go ahead and start with this right side. And you'll see everything's on the sheet, pre-cut, ready to go. So let's go ahead and, actually I'll put this on this side over here. Yeah, so we're going to start with that piece. So always check your pieces, look everything over, see where they go. Like that lower piece is going to go right there. That's where we're going to start. Make sure everything's wet always. The wetter the better, even when you're lifting this material off of the backing liner. Just make sure everything's wet. Your hands are wet, top of the film's wet. You don't want dust sticking to the film when it's dry. So you wouldn't want to drop this stuff on the floor with it being dry. Once it's wet, like if dust falls on here, we're going to squeegee that out like a little wave. But right now with this soapy water, you can see this thing just slides around. So you can put it exactly where you want it. Very easy. I like to put everything about 1/8 of an inch from the edges here. So you just kind of look at the top edge there. If you can see that. Line the bottom up. And if everything looks good there, then just go ahead and squeegee it out. Squeegee slides a lot easier on top if you have the soapy water on top. So go ahead and make sure the top's wet. And just using overlapping strokes, squeegeeing that out. And CruzArmor is very forgiving, especially at this stage in the game. If you looked in here and said, hey, there's a big hair or a piece of dust, you literally, again, make sure everything's wet. You don't want to lift it and draw any dirt in. But you can, lift it, peel it back, wash the thing out, completely remove it, whatever you want to do there. And then reline it up and reset it down with the squeegee. You want to be using fairly solid squeegees. You don't want big air or liquid bubbles. As you can see, there's nothing in there. Where you can see even the orange peel of the paint kind of underneath the film. So we've got everything out of there. So now what we're going to do is deal with this front edge. So now we're going to use the alcohol solution. And I'm just going to spray a little up under that edge. We're going to start down here at the bottom. And making sure to squeegee over the edge so you don't leave any bubbles along this edge. So you just squeegee it straight down. You'll see that's going to end up again about 1/8 inch away from that edge. And when I get to this little corner here, I'm going to go ahead and stretch a couple things. So I'm going to lift this back up just slightly. So if you see when I stretch this, it kind of brings it down. So you just want to give it a little tension, tell it where to go, kind of. And that's it. We're going to squeegee that way. Just kind of pulling it down a little, squeegee it that way. And literally that is it for that bottom piece. Just dry it. You want to dry in the direction you would with the squeegee so that you're not lifting the film anywhere. That's it, and we'll let that dry. If you have a little area where it might be popping up a little bit, just let that dry. Or use your dry towel and it'll go ahead and lay down. But if you're fighting something and it just won't seem to lay down, kind of remember that you need to stretch it a little. But if it's still not, just let it sit for a little bit, come back to it, dry towel it, and you'll be good to go. So now we're going to go with this next piece. So you find that on your sheet, which is this little, and make sure everything's good and wet, always. Wetter the better. Keep it sprayed. This is the slip solution with the soap. And just lay it on there. And now what we're going to do is butt up this bottom edge and then kind of look at this edge around here and make sure it's about an eighth of an inch. So again, just literally slide this down, butt it right up against it. You can slide it until you get it where you want it. And that's about where I want it. So I'm just going to put my thumb up here and just give it a little pressure. So it tacked it right there. So now you start squeegeeing it out. Don't squeegee too hard right now because you don't want to move it and pull it off of the fairing here. So you just kind of light to get that soap out. And now you can go ahead. Good hard squeegee so that you don't leave anything underneath. So that top is good. Now we're going to, again, spray some alcohol under this lip, the alcohol mix. And then, again, we're just going to go over this edge and squeegee it out. And making sure you don't have nothing on that edge. And there you go. So those two pieces are done. And again, those pieces on a tabletop are really easy to do. You can do them on the bike as well, standing up, but you got to kind of lay on the floor, get some lights down there so you can see what you're doing. However, this top piece is easier on the bike. I would much rather be doing it on there, but we're going to kind of do it here on the tabletop since we have the kit and we have the cameras. So bear with us. We might be wrestling this thing, but I'm going to show you how this fits at least so you know where the points fit. So we're going to go ahead and look for this piece on the sheet. And when you find it, you want to, again, keep everything good and wet so that when you're lifting the stuff, if it folds over onto itself, it's okay because it's wet. You don't want it folding over onto itself when it's dry. But yeah, when it's wet, this stuff really forgiving. You know, if dust gets on it, I've dropped wet pieces on the ground and, you know, able to wash them back off. So just keep everything good and wet. And now we're just going to go ahead and lay that on here. And again, we're not really going to be worried up here. My big worry is that I don't let it fall off onto the towels there. But for you on the bike, you're really just kind of looking at this section right here. And it would be obviously looking like this for you. But you're going to slide the thing around. If it sticks, you know, lift it, get it a little wetter again. But again, we're just kind of looking at this edge down here and this edge right here, which I wasn't even looking at it, just kind of fell into place right there. But so yeah, once those butt up, so I've got a little gap here, so I'm going to spray it and move it just a smidge. There we go. So again, you want this to butt up here and be good along this edge here. But that's about where I want it. So we're just going to lightly kind of tack it down. when you're on these lines, kind of go across the line. Just make sure everything's laid down. So yeah, so this is all done. Again, now we're kind of looking at this top here. So soap it up again. Make sure that's all laid down up to this point. This back edge needs to get pulled about a 1/2 inch. So you want all this to be good and soaked up, so that when you pull this, all that stuff lays down. These two big fingers disappear. Okay? So what we're going to do is, again, making sure that's all soapy, because we want that slipping and sliding. But back here, we want this to go back a 1/2 inch and stick. So we're going to use the alcohol spray, lift up about 1 inch of the film, and kind of just spray that area out. Get all the soap out of there. I'm going to make sure I don't have soap on my fingers, soap on the film, because I want to grab it and stretch it. So I'm just going to do it right now, and hopefully this thing works just like if I had it on the bike. And I'm really just worrying about back here for now. So if I can get a little good grip here. Come on, there we go. I'm just pulling it back, and then setting it down, and seeing where we're at here. And okay, so we're close. I needed to come this way a little bit. So no big deal. I'm going to lift it up. A little soap. This time I'll look at it more on this corner here. So again, we're going to pull it up here. Put that corner and that edge right where you want it up there. And then same thing on this side. Lift it and just, here, I'm going to put a little more alcohol here, and then I'll show you one more time. So we're just going to give a little tension and set it right there. Squeegee it out. Okay, so now this back edge is anchored. So now we just have to deal with kind of this, sorry, let me move this around for you, this front corner. It's stuck because it's been sitting there for a minute, and the adhesive has broken through kind of the fluid barrier between the paint and the film. So we want to get some more soap in there. But I want to make sure I'm not going to introduce any dust. So I want to make sure everything's good and clean. And then we're going to go ahead and lift this up. I'll rotate this a little bit here. There we go. So you can see I'm going to get under there. Just making sure there's soap. And making sure it's not sticking. There you go. Right there is kind of stuck down. We know back here there's an anchor back there. And all of this just slides. So you can see it just, I mean, the material can go wherever you want. So what we're going to do is bring it down here and anchor it. Okay. We might be able to do it just with my thumb. So I'm going to check and see if I can just give that a little pressure, and it might even stay. Nope, it's not going to. So we're going to need a little alcohol down here. No big. And on this little ear. So now those have alcohol under, so when I do that same thing and move these down, well, but this up here is a little sticky, so I gotta get my hand back under this, and then we'll do it. Okay, so now when we come down here and put that where we want it, that should be good, because the alcohol will hold it there. And now I'm going to give a little squeege as well down there. So this corner is stuck. So now it's just kind of making sure everything's lined up. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of squeegee this little edge, so that's done. That way when I set it on the table here, we can work on just the top. I see there's just a little piece of fuzz or something there. We're going to wash that out. So we're going to put a little alcohol there, and we're going to squeegee that down, and we're kind of done with this front edge then. And this corner will dry with a towel here in a sec. So now we want to get all this water out that's underneath there. So I can actually set it down so you can kind of see it better. So yeah, now we know that this is anchored, so we're just going to start over here, start working our way around that corner. We know this down here is all anchored, so we don't want to leave anything around this edge, bubbles, so you want to start below it, you know, and work your way up. And if you see a bubble or something, you can squeegee it out. If you need to get more soap in there, you can use your squeegee to get under there and spray some more soap up under there. But I think we're good. We got enough soap. Okay, let me come this way. There we go. And again, we know that there's an anchor here, so we want to squeegee away from that anchor as well. And so really the only thing we have left is this, and it's got to come out from this edge. So we're just going to squeegee all that up. And that is that top piece. So, not bad for doing it on a tabletop. Again, there's this little area here. You just put a little alcohol so that there's no soap on that. And then we'll just use a towel. So again, when you're using a towel, you want to go the direction you were of the squeegee. So you don't want to go up under it. And just wipe it down. And again, when it's dry, it doesn't want to lift back up. That is now protected, and that front protected, these lower pieces, the front edge. And that is your DIY kit 2025 Street Glide Ultra, or anything that you put the lower fairings on that fit on these new body style bikes. Okay, now on this top piece, again, we would install this on the bike, kind of to show you what you would do. Again, you tack this lower piece and butt it up against this middle piece that we just did. I don't know if you can see any of those little angles there, but butt it here, got a little piece here, and then the thing runs up to this angle, which you want to go ahead and squeegee that out, giving yourself like 1/8 of an inch this whole way. And then this top piece, again, this is where having it on the bike makes a big difference. You want to put a little alcohol out here just to make sure that this is tacked. And then you're going to go ahead and stretch this back. It needs to stretch about 1/2 inch to get some of these fingers out of the corner. So you stretch it back that way, anchor it, and then you can manipulate this over to the edge. If it's sticking, you can get some soap underneath. Lifting the edge, you can even use a squeegee kind of to get up under the edge, and then spray soap and get under there. But again, that's kind of the only tricky part on this kit, is after you get this all anchored, is getting this just stretched back a little bit. And again, you have like 1/2 inch. It's not like it's a big stretch, but you're just stretching it back, anchoring it with your alcohol, and then manipulating this where these pieces again are about 1/8 of an inch away from this edge. And then along that top. And then again, you can see where it's about on that back end. Again, about 1/8 of an inch from there. We're contemplated making some side pieces here. Problem is, depending how you stretch can change this curvature. So it's kind of not it wouldn't be a uniform piece. But that's still on the chalkboard, but not today. And that's the right side, brake side.